I'm going to give you 5 reasons why Amazon liquidation pallets may not be the best investment for most eBay or just general resellers. And let's talk about that on the other side. So without any further ado, let's go. Welcome back to the channel. This is John from Flippin' Ain't Easy. And today, as I mentioned on the other side, I want to talk to you about Amazon customer return pallets. And yes, you guys know my adventures with Amazon liquidation pallets. You guys know that I've bought many Amazon liquidation pallets in the past. Amazon liquidation pallets are not for most people, and they do come with their caveats. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about 5 reasons why I think that Amazon liquidation pallets are not the best investment for your average eBay seller or reseller for that matter. So let's get to it. First reason is Amazon offers a longer than usual return policy, usually 45 days, I believe. But in the holidays, like right now we're making this video, they're offering a 31st of January return policy to most buyers. What that means is that these buyers can buy their items off of Amazon, okay, give them as Christmas gifts or whatever, or use them right away and use them, try them out, wear them out until the 31st of January, and until such time then they can return them back for a full refund. Also, the longer you give a buyer to return an item, it's less likely that they're going to have the original packaging. And a lot of these Amazon liquidation pallets, they don't have the original packaging. So you could see the items used. They'll usually put the items, the Amazon workers will put the items in a clear poly bag with like a green stripe on it. But a lot of times you'll find these pallets will have no original packaging, which diminishes the resale value of the item that you're trying to sell. Instead of saying like new open box, that type of thing, it's pretty much just a used item because you cannot provide the original packaging. And I mean, sometimes sellers will advertise open box, no box type thing, which makes no sense at all. Unfortunately, Amazon return pallets tend to put sellers into that position, and we just have to lose value on our items by selling them as used. Amazon handles their returns a little differently in that they will start the refund process as soon as the package, the return package, has a tracking entry on it, so an acceptance scan or something like that. So the moment you return that Amazon package, like to UPS, and get that initial scan, within hours, Amazon is already initiating that refund. And why is that a problem? Well, the reason why that's a problem is buyers are very savvy, and they know that no one's inspecting those items. So you have more of a tendency in these Amazon pallets to receive swapouts. And what's a swap out? A swap out is one of those things where you're expecting to receive, let's say, a pair of Sony headphones. And you're excited, you see the retail box when you open that pallet up, you see that nice shiny Sony retail box, and you open it up and it's like costs, right? It's like an off-brand. And that is like one of the biggest disappointments, okay? And of course, the liquidator is not at fault there because they're not going to go in and inspect every box that's in that pallet, right? So they see a Sony pair of headphones, you know, they're assuming that it's in there, but they're not liable for the fact that, you know, it was a swap out. And so a lot of these Amazon customers, Amazon buyers, they do this swap out thing. And a lot of your Amazon customers, because of this, they do the swap outs. They'll maybe put their old unit in the original retail box. Maybe their old one broke or it's just worn out. They'll buy a new one. They'll take the packaging and put their old one in there and send it back to Amazon. And they just got a free upgrade. And that's great for them, I guess, but it's not good for you as a reseller. And it happens more, in my experience, it happens more with Amazon than it does on any other pallet from a larger brick and mortar type store, your Walmarts, your Costco's, your Lowe's, that type of thing. I wouldn't buy a Lowe's pallet, but Home Depot, Lowe's, you get my point. So just keep that in mind, that swap outs are more common in Amazon pallets than they are with any other company. The fourth reason why Amazon liquidation pallets probably isn't best for most resellers is that most Amazon liquidation pallets are unmanifested. What's unmanifested? That means that there's not an actual list of what's in the pallet. You just have no idea, other than maybe you might see some pictures of what could be in the pallet, maybe like from a top view, or maybe you have a pallet that's wrapped or whatever, and you might be able to see a few items from different angles. You really don't have an idea of what's in there. And a lot of liquidators, they just sell their pallets of Amazon goods blind, like, here's a blind box of 20 boxes of Amazon returns in one pallet, maybe one large Gaylord, that type of thing. A Gaylord is basically a huge cardboard box with no top, okay? And you really aren't going to see what's inside those things. And with Amazon returns being the most popular type of customer return pallet, most liquidators just know they're going to sell them, and they don't really need to put the effort to go in and account for every item that should be in that pallet. So they'll just sell it as unmanifested. Now, here's the problem with that. Because you don't know what's in there, you don't know what these liquidators have actually received. And in many cases, I think most cases for that matter, these pallets are cherry-picked, which means that the liquidator or the middleman, whoever's handling this merchandise before it gets to you, the middleman or the liquidator or whoever sees this stuff before you get it, has first dibs to go in and say, oh, look, there's a PlayStation 5. Oh, here's an Xbox. Here's a new Sony camera, or here's a brand new whatever. And unless they're oblivious to the value of that item, guess what? It's probably not going to make its way into your pallet. And of course, when that happens, you lose out as a reseller. And this happens, in my opinion, from my experience, this cherry picking stuff happens more often with Amazon return pallets than any other type of pallet, because most other types of pallets are usually manifested, from my experience. Not always the case, but more unmanifested pallets with Amazon, and it's kind of hit and miss, but more miss than hit. The fifth reason, scammers. Okay, now it's important to have a very good relationship with your liquidators so you're not a victim of this, but you can go onto Facebook Marketplace right now and do a search for Amazon customer return pallets, okay? And you'll see there's just Amazon customer return pallets. Some want $300, $400, $500. Some will say something like crazy, like I think $29.95 or crazy stuff like that, advertising these pallets that are too good to be true. Heck, they even had franchise kicks, and I know that wasn't authorized, showing him opening up a bunch of customer return pallets off of Amazon. And good and well they didn't come from these people, telling you it's like dirt cheap to get these items. And if it's too good to be true, guys, it ain't true. It ain't going to happen, and you're going to lose money. So it's more likely that most people who do not know better are going to end up being scammed, lose money, have high expectations, and then just pretty much give up on the whole idea of sourcing this way through liquidation, because they didn't even know or do their due diligence to find out about which ones are a scam and which ones aren't. Bottom line is, if you can't get a hold of these people and have a conversation and even maybe go to their facility if it's local to see what they're offering, it's probably not legit. And a lot of times we deal with these companies that we're buying from online, and you might want to do your research on the company in question, maybe do a Google search to make sure that the company is legitimate. But with Amazon returns, you're going to find a lot of scammers out there who are willing to take your money and give you virtually nothing in return. And that's no way to make money in this business. So guys, I need your input, your comments down below. Let me know what you think about the 5 reasons, the 5 things that make Amazon liquidation pallets really not the best bet for most resellers. Now, caveat to everyone, I will continue to buy Amazon liquidation pallets. And the reason is simple. I have had so much experience over the years in knowing which liquidators are legitimate, which ones aren't. Okay. I know what I'm looking for. If I can find a manifested pallet, great, right? If it's Amazon and it's manifested, even better, even though it's not likely to happen anytime soon. Most of these Amazon liquidation pallets are just unmanifested. And it's a risk reward type thing. So if you're looking for the safe play, you might want to gravitate towards a manifested pallet. And usually those fall under like your Costco pallets. You can find those on bstock.com. There's a lot of different companies that will sell you a pallet online. Maybe a Macy's liquidation pallet. They have a lot of shelf pulls and things like that. They're almost always manifested from my experience. So, do your due diligence. That's the first step. It's knowing who to trust. And maybe you're a beginner in this. Maybe you haven't bought liquidation before. And looking up these companies on maybe something like Trustpilot or Better Business Bureau to find out what the complaints are from this particular company before you buy from them, I think will go a long way. But for me, I am still going to buy my liquidation pallets, whether it's Amazon or other companies, like your Targets, your Walmarts, that kind of thing, because I'm looking for what is going to give me the best value. Unmanifested pallets will usually give you a lower price point than a manifested pallet, historically from my experience. So these are all things that you need to consider. And of course, you're welcome to email me at flippinainteasy2020@gmail.com, and I'll give you my 10 cents or 2 cents or 15 cents or whatever amount you want, and to tell you what I think about your purchase if you're maybe up in the air on something. I don't have a ton of time to go into all the details, but if you have a question about a particular liquidator like online, I can give you my input and let you know, or put your comments down below. I'll try to get to those as well, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you guys have. So do me a favor, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. If you enjoy the channel, subscribe. I'd appreciate that. And of course, hit that notification bell so when I go live or make another video like this, you're going to be notified when it happens. So guys, let me just say, liquidation is still my favorite way of sourcing. I just haven't done a lot lately. It's starting to kind of shrink up, to be honest with you. I'm hopeful that as these stores get in more merchandise than they're able to handle because of all the backlogging of merchandise on these large shipping containers over the last year and a half, I'm hopeful that that'll create a situation where there's just more merchandise for us. And the best time to be buying liquidation is usually like the end of January to the beginning of February, when everyone's returning their Christmas returns. So keep an eye out for that as well. But you know what? Liquidation and buying from Amazon for that purpose is just another example of how sometimes flipping ain't easy. And I want you guys to have an excellent day, and we will talk to you very soon.